The Deer Agency specializes in helping you understand your coverage before you need it. We offer all lines of personal and commercial insurance, including auto, home, and life. Contact Dawn Deer at 210-507-2169 and visit us at 7529 North Loop 1604 in Live Oak, Texas, or farmersagent.com/ddeer.
Are you pregnant and alone? You have options. The Sanctuary of Hope offers expectant mothers ages 12 to 22 a place to live, medical care, counseling, continued education, and options to raise your baby in a loving environment or help you with adoption. We want to help provide you and your baby with a bright future. Call us or email us today and let's walk through this together. 210-499-1554 or sohcares.org. All inquiries are confidential.
I Am Refocused Radio is brought to you by Documation, service that serves. Technology solutions to keep you moving forward. Visit nation.com today. You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shemaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shemaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again with another show, and we're going to go right back to SAPD, our good friend, San Antonio Police Department, and we're going to talk to the officer, Miss Gladys Williams, and we're going to learn all about her career and what inspired her to become an officer. And without further ado, I just want to welcome Officer Williams to the show and say, how are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Life is great. Life is great. For the audience, give us a little backdrop story of who is Gladys Williams.
I am the oldest of three siblings. I have a younger brother and a younger sister. My mom, she passed away when I was in college. While in college, I was a Tennessee Tigerbelle, ran multiple different events in track and field. I was a part of Alpha Phi Omega, one of the largest service organizations in the world. I went to school to get a degree in biology and chemistry, which I obtained in 2009. Shortly after I graduated, kind of got myself in a standstill trying to figure out what's next. I wanted to do forensic science. It was a little bit hard trying to get into a lab, so I decided to either go back to school or find a different way to do the same thing. I was approached by a police officer who planted the little idea about being a police officer. My family is mostly military. I never thought about it like that. So I went out and applied to a few different police departments in Texas. I knew I wanted to be in Texas, so I applied to Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. San Antonio, of course, had their stuff together, was the fastest, and everything else is old news. Came here, now have 9 years on the department.
Man, those 9 years go by fast, don't it?
Very fast.
So when you decided you wanted to be an officer, what was it exactly that drew you to have an idea this is something that you would like to do as a career?
As a little girl, I've always been drawn to the criminal justice system. My uncle was partly the inspiration for that. I wanted to be a lawyer. So obviously I'm not really good at arguing and debating, but I got the chance to do a few mock trials, and I got to do various things in the criminal justice system as a kid, they exposed me to. And I decided that being a lawyer wasn't for me, based on certain things that a lawyer might have to do. Then I was really good in math and science in grade school. So I was like, okay, what can I do with math or what can I do with science? And I think that's when, growing up, when forensics and DNA analysis was getting real popular with the criminal justice system. So I wanted to go to school for forensic science, DNA analysis, because, of course, there's still a part of it I can, find out who the bad guy is. DNA doesn't lie. So after doing that in school, as I said before, it didn't happen. And, so I was like, maybe I need more schooling. Maybe I need to know some people. And I just basically went around trying to figure out how can I get into the field that I wanted to do since I was a little girl. An officer that happened to work around the area where I worked at Southland Mall in Memphis, Tennessee, happened to stop and say he saw me walking to work and asked me what I was doing. And, he said, conversation went on, and then he was like, you should become an officer. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should. I never really wanted to do anything with, I guess physically, because my family is military and I wanted to do something different. And, that was my little rebellion, I guess you can say. But I looked into it, and after looking at some of the things, they overlap with what I really wanted to do. And I know who I am as a person, and it basically lined up with the qualifications to become an officer. I applied, and as I said, it just 9 years.
And once again, we're listening to I Am Refocused Radio, talking to Officer Gladys Williams. And you also have a story when something motivated you to even further want to have a desire to be an officer. You had a situation that happened in your apartment that inspired you even further wanting to make a change. Tell us about that story.
I'm a firm believer in, the doors that God got open for you, no one else can close. But, it's easily said than done and endured. I stayed in some apartments in Memphis, Tennessee. They weren't the best. They're probably not the best. I don't want to name them or anything. So I stayed there, and then upon me applying for the San Antonio Police Department, I had to travel to San Antonio for a week to complete various things. I had to do my written exam, my polygraph, speak to a doctor, my psychology examination, and a bunch of other things that I had to do for that whole week. I left for San Antonio with one of my friend girls, and during the week, little did I know, my apartment had got broken into. Some of the people that stayed in the apartment realized that I was not there, kicked in the door, and basically stole everything out of my apartment. They stole food out of my refrigerator, stole my bed, some clothes, some other things, furniture. They had a week to do it. So when I came back, it was a destroyed apartment that I came back to. It only put fuel to my fire because I then knew that it was my job to stop that from happening to other people because of how I felt. Now, those are material things and they can get replaced, obviously. But, when someone steals from you, you don't know what sentimental value some of those things have on the person you're stealing them from. They could be the last of anything, of members of your, parents or family members or whoever, or a gift of sentiment. So after that happened, of course, I was too afraid to stay in the apartment. I stayed with my aunt for a little while, and I came to San Antonio not shortly after that incident. Coming to San Antonio, they did steal a checkbook, so I had to fight the bank to prove that some fraudulent checks that had been written for my checkbook were not mine, and they were the product of that burglary. And so coming into the academy, I had no car. I had that pretty much broke. I didn't have a support system in San Antonio at the time. So I had an apartment that I found a couple of days before, and nothing was in it. So I said to myself, okay, I'm here. I'm away from all the bad stuff. Let's try to figure this out. Well, so I didn't have a car, so I was like, now's my chance to learn how to catch the bus. So I get on the bus, I forget what number, and I actually, for some reason, I did the whole loop 1604. Now, in San Antonio, we have two loops that circle our city. 1604 is the largest loop, and I was on it for hours, not knowing where I was going. And then the bus driver realized that I was still on the bus and asked me, like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm trying to find a police academy. I start Monday, and I'm trying to get map out my ride. He was like, ma'am, you passed that like 30 minutes ago. So I didn't count the bus as a mode of transportation. So I was in the academy, and we were doing something, maybe learning the Texas Penal Code. I can't remember exactly. I get called out of the classroom, and I'm nervous because usually when you get singled out, you did something or they think you did something. So I'm out there, and I'm not really used to being in trouble. So I'm out there, and I'm like looking, and it's a cop couple, and my element leader. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, what happened? Who are these folks? My element leader was like, do you know them? And I was like, no. And they started to speak to me. Now, I can't tell you verbatim what they were saying because I was super nervous. All of a sudden, the lady, she reached out her hand, and she had a key in her hand. And I looked at it like, okay, like, whose key is that? And I was like, sorry, ma'am, that's not my key. She was like, here, get it. I grabbed it. And I was like, okay. And she's like, go outside and see if it works. If it works, you can keep it so you can get to and from the academy. And I was like, huh? And it took me a while to really understand what she was trying to say because I still thought I was getting in trouble. And she reiterated, I go outside, and it's a 2000 Jeep Cherokee, like tan or golden color. I go and start it, and it starts up. When I tell you the tears did not stop, they did not stop. And I just cried and cried because I had no idea who these people were. Didn't know why they even knew to bring me the keys and like for what. So I go back up, and she tells me that they were going to give it to their son. He was about to turn 16 years old, and they were going to give the car to him, but somehow I needed it more. And he agreed to it. The 16-year-old thought it would be a good thing too. So now I'm even more like devastated because not only am I, getting in a car from these people that I have no idea who it could have been their son who, as a 16-year-old, as a teenager, getting in a car, that's everything. That's almost like freedom, So I cried again and I cried again. And, from that day, I can say I was, helped out numerous of times from officers. Those officers, helped me throughout their academy by allowing me to use their car to get to and from the academy. And I also had someone else who, when I told you I had that apartment, nothing was in it. I didn't have any furniture because at the time I was broke, and I'm still trying to, pay bills and everything. So my money went into the apartment and getting me something to eat. And one of the other ladies that I is dear to my heart, I didn't know that she was going to do this, but she asked me, how's my living situation? I told her, it's okay. You can make a pallet on the floor. She was like, you're sleeping on the floor? I was like, yes, ma'am. I just put a little pallet on the ground, and I sleep, and I get up and go to work. And not more than a day after, she comes to my apartment, knocks on the door, and she has a twin bed mattress with like a little small frame. And I'm like, huh? What's going on? Well, her daughter, I guess, heard of it, and she gave me her twin-size mattress to sleep on. So I wasn't sleeping on the floor anymore. And I cried. I feel like crying in this story. But I cried because, it's kids, that are willing to sacrifice their possessions in order that somebody else may be comfortable and be okay. And so, yes, I was burglarized. Yes, they took my stuff. But I knew that they were just material things and they can be replaced. And it was so great that these officers instilled those values that I was instilled with in their kids to allow them to make the decision to help me out. So, that's pretty much, the beginning of my story. And my story is still being written. But I really thank a lot of the officers who come out of nowhere, word of mouth, I think, and just, unwillingly, with a, giving heart, just was able to give their possessions to me.
You listen to I Am Refocused Radio, talking to Officer Gladys Williams. And when you talked about those two stories, can't help but think about unity and people coming together, being united for a common cause. As an officer, what's some of the things that you're hoping that officers like yourself can help educate the community to break the cycle of what people assume is happening with all officers versus we already know what's going on? What would you like to say to that in addressing that?
Honestly, that's something that I had to think about a lot. One, being a Black female, and two, being a police officer. I think with all the things that's going on, what everybody needs in this world is to be heard. We need some kind of dialogue that where, we could sit down and really talk. And I think being able to see both sides, we realize that we're saying the same thing. I see so many times on one side, and they're saying what they want, what they feel. But on the other side, they're saying the same thing, and they understand. But we're too busy trying to convey that in different ways that there's like some sort of miscommunication. I'm not really sure how we're miscommunicating, but there needs to be some kind of dialogue and some kind of, meeting or, forum where we can all get together and really just talk about the things that are happening. Because, yes, we're angry. Yes, we want justice. Yes, yes to all of that. We're on the same boat. No one hates a bad cop more than a good cop. So it's one of those things where you have to allow us to show you that. And a lot of the times it's just not really portrayed in the media as much. So you don't, I guess, if you don't see it, you don't believe it. If you're not receiving it, because actions speak louder than words. I'm a part of an organization through the police department, San Antonio Black Police Coalition, and we do things like this all the time. We are trying, our mission is to bridge the gap between the community and the police department. And a lot of the times, I'm not from this, per se, community that we service, but I put so much into it, my heart, my soul, because I care about people so much. And when we do things like that, we're not looking for fame, hype, or anything. So it doesn't bother me that it's not, mainstream. Because if you're doing what's right, it's gonna go mainstream. Not through television or Instagram or Facebook. It's going to go mainstream to the heart of the people you help, because they're going to remember that day that officer did more than what their job called for. So, as I said before, we have to implant ourselves in the community in that aspect of, seeing where people come from. And then the community also has to come in and see what we have to deal with. And once we figure out that we're both saying the same thing, I think that we'll start to get a better understanding of each other and understand that we're not so different. Once again, it's I Am Refocused Radio, talking to Officer Gladys Williams. I want to echo what you just said a moment ago. Both sides, we need to come together, period. Yeah. Point blank, both sides, we need to figure ways to come together. And I think it's very important that we continue this type of dialogue, because we had Officer Green
we started this with him, and that is the blue is with you. And even with all that's going on right now, I'm still going to honor that commitment that started with Officer Green and say, San Antonio, the blue is with you. And reason why is just like Officer Gladys Williams just illustrated on the show, and that is we all are human beings, and we know what's going on. But the most important thing is if you want change in the community, look in the mirror. It starts with you. And when you make the change, you will see the change. Going back to Officer Gladys Williams, when you see the opportunity that we have right now, right, to help unite the community, help to build confidence back up into community, saying that the blue is with you and we're here to do this and to do that, to just break all the stereotype cycles and messages that is over clouding the good officers out there. What's some of the things that you would like to see the community start doing to have opportunity for officers to help keep educating?
Some of the things that I would like the community to start doing is, so the San Antonio Police Department has a ride-along program. You know, if you're really curious about what we do as an officer, some of the calls that we go through and how we handle our, day-to-day calls and while we're at work, you can come in and actually apply to ride along with an officer. So you can see the amount of people that we contact today, the different, I won't say problems, but different incidents that, everybody has. Because people don't call, the police when they're having the best time in their life, the best day of their life. They usually call us when there's something going wrong. So we come into a situation blindly each day. And for, the community to see that and understand, I could come from, a house that has been burglarized and feel some type of way about that, because personally I know what it feels like to have a place that's burglarized, and carrying those feelings over to the next call where you're upset that your neighbor is barking, the dog is barking or something, and our emotional scale that we have to, basically maintain throughout the day, you'll see how up and down it goes. So it kind of helps you understand, if, and, I can't speak for all officers, if they come in and you think that they don't care. But we're still trying to digress from the previous call without interfering in your call. So just to get yourself an understanding, because people think they know police work because they read a couple of books, but to actually do police work and be right there in the front hand, firsthand, is a very different thing, so just, or ask, we're out there all the time. You can come and speak to us. We'll have a dialogue with you about certain things within the perimeters, of our department. And, but you'll come to find out that most officers are doing this because they have families. They want to make a living. They want to make a difference. They want to get the bad guy. And they are not necessarily just there to mess with you. So just getting an understanding by using a different platforms that's there. Because you can complain about something, but if you're not helping to solve the problem, then you're basically a part of the problem. So take the initiative, get out there and speak with the officers, do a ride-along, or if you, feel like you can do even more, San Antonio Police Department is hiring. Come out, do what I did, Yes, things are happening in this world, and, I joined because I felt like I could make a difference. I could catch the bad guys, save people from, the wrongdoers, from the day-to-day things that might happen. Yes, there is some bad, but I think my reward comes from, here in San Antonio, we have a good base of good people that like us, and they tell us thank you for your service and everything, and they come up and shake our hands. We give our stickers to the kids, but that's not the part that being shown. So many people show their appreciation, and that helps us. That helps us forget about the bad things. So I just say take the initiative, whichever one that might be, to correct the problem.
Once again, we're talking to Officer Gladys Williams from SAPD on I Am Refocused Radio. And once again, she just mentioned if you want to take a step and be the change, you can go to sapdcareers.com. That's sapdcareers.com. First of all, I want to thank SAPD for what they're doing with I Am Refocused Radio to help educate the community and talk to the listener, because especially if someone's out there and they want change, well, this is your moment. If you want change, let's be the change. So thank you, Officer Gladys Williams, for being on the show. Is there anything you'd like to tell the audience before you leave?
Yes. We're in this together, and together we can be the change. It's one thing to talk about it, but it's a different thing to be about it. So join us to help make that change. We got your back.
I'll echo what I said with Officer Green. The blue is with you, San Antonio. The blue is with you. Like we say on every single show, keep God first, stay focused, and peace.
Thanks for listening to I Am Refocused Radio, brought to you by Documation. Documation is a full-service technology solutions company that provides IT, print, and software managed services. Headquartered in San Antonio, Documation has been serving customers across Texas for nearly 30 years. Visit Mation.com today. Hi, San Antonio. Need a barber? Visit our good friend Rico Rodriguez, the owner of Rockefeller's Barbershop in San Antonio, Texas, 1733 Babcock Road, and book your appointment today by calling 210-782-5188.